Isn't it true, Mr. Lewis, that during the course of your conversations with Chairman Bernanke and Secretary Paulson, you in fact requested a letter from the government saying that the government ordered you to close the deal to acquire Merrill?
No, that was not what I asked for. Our board was concerned.
Your answer is no? Are you sure that's your answer?
Our board was concerned that we had verbal assurances but had nothing in writing about getting some assistance. And so I called Chairman Bernanke and asked him.
But you're referring to a different letter. I'm talking about a letter. You requested a letter from the government saying that the government ordered you to close the deal to acquire Merrill. Wasn't there such a letter?
I don't recall such a letter.
You're under oath, but your answer is you don't recall.
I do not recall.
Isn't it true that your request of that letter was motivated by your desire to protect yourself from your shareholders?
Well, sir, if I can't recall it, I can't answer the second question.
Well, our investigation reveals that Chairman Bernanke believed that your request for such a letter was motivated by a desire to protect you from shareholder lawsuits, as demonstrated in this email from Chairman Bernanke to the Fed's General Counsel on December 23, 2008, and I quote, he, speaking of you, Mr. Lewis, said he now fears lawsuits from shareholders. He, they're speaking of you, Mr. Lewis, still asked whether he could use as a defense that the government ordered him to proceed for systemic reasons. I said no, unquote. This is from Chairman Bernanke. We would hope that a CEO would have both a good memory and the integrity to take responsibility for his decisions. Mr. Lewis, you stated in response to my previous question that you did not recall asking for a letter from the government stating that Bank of America was ordered to proceed with the purchase of Merrill Lynch. I want to direct your attention to an email response from the Fed's General Counsel to Chairman Bernanke's email, which I previously disclosed. Mr. Chairman, says, I don't think it's necessary or appropriate for us to give Lewis a letter along the lines he asked. Is it still your testimony that you don't recall asking for a letter to absolve you of your responsibility for acquiring Merrill Lynch's huge losses?
Congressman, what I do remember is calling Chairman Bernanke and asking him if he could give us something in writing along the lines of what the solution would be.
We're now updating Mr. Lewis's previous testimony. That may help you escape perjury, but it doesn't get away from the question of whether or not you were trying to absolve yourself of responsibility for acquiring Merrill Lynch's huge losses. I mean, we're talking about events that transpired only a few months ago. And your failure to inform your shareholders could constitute a fundamental violation of security laws. You did get a significant amount of financial assistance when you dropped the threat to back out of your deal. Isn't that true?
Yes, we did.
Tell the committee what you received. How much money?
$20 billion.
You are pretending that you didn't ask for help from the government to take the burden off your back, that you didn't ask for a letter. You're going to have to excuse me, but this is not credible. You're trying to change the scenario from you as a victim to you as a powerful CEO who made a decision that denied your stockholders, your shareholders, material information that they needed prior to a vote on a merger. And I think that is the central point of this hearing, and I'm sorry that you haven't been forthcoming enough about that central point. Yield back.